What is going on, FA Nation? John Pemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook live show. Looking at the Wednesday 10-game DraftKings main slate. Grande, man, how we doing, friend?
We are doing pretty good. I think it's a pretty fun slate. Did a nice deep dive that you guys can find over at fantasyalarm.com with the MLB DFS Playbook today. It's a fun slate. There's not anything like yesterday where there was weather everywhere. There's like no weather anywhere today. There are openers everywhere.
Yeah.
Just opener after opener after opener. But the good thing about all those openers is all the people that are following the openers are not any good. So that's awesome. And I'm looking forward to that. We have some really good pitchers in really good spots that are really mispriced, basically from top to bottom. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a fun overall slate, and I'm looking forward to get into it.
It was difficult to ignore that 7 of the top 9 offensive players in ownership tonight are the Houston Astros.
Do they play somewhere tonight?
They're in Coors and they're facing a lefty. Obviously, their offense, against left-handed pitching, strong to quite strong. So all over 20% as well. So navigating the Coors Field chalk today with the pitching that we have on this slate, I think is going to be something to decide as well, especially when the pitcher in that game on Houston is also getting a decent amount of ownership here today, but not the most.
No, my friend, he is not.
Mr. Logan Gilbert at $9,500 is your highest rostered pitcher with a bullet. He is over 40% in large field tournaments tonight, which for a 10-game slate is insane to me. Yes, matchup against Kansas City, we assume to be favorable. Didn't look that way last night if you played, against.
There's John. There is a saying here. The saying is there's levels to this ish, right? I mean,
sure, yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. I get it. We were willing to take the leap.
Yes, that's how bad it's been. We were willing to take the leap
on Emerson Hancock last night.
No.
Go back to Ernie.
You cannot go to Emerson after that.
All right. To our guy, Ernie Hancock there. Did go 6. Hats off to him, but gave up 5 runs. Now you go to Logan Gilbert, a much improved starting pitcher. Though his numbers this year are, dealt with the injury and whatnot, but he's back. Do you buy, though, 40% of the fee? Are you playing 40% chalk on a 10-game slate?
It's tough because, I'm going to have exposure.
Sure.
Playing multiple lineups. Am I at 40%? I'm not. I'm under 40%. Sure. I think that there is a pitcher that I literally made my playbook cover today that I am getting to very often.
I guess it's my job to know who that is. Yep. Okay. We're in lockstep.
So if you're just tuning in, well, you're gonna hear it a lot because all the Guardians do is face lefties, and they literally lead baseball over the last month in lefties. We'll get to this. We'll get to this beautiful individual in a second. Let's just finish our Gilbert point. I think. On the Gilbert front, the matchup is great. Royals since June 1st, 26th or worse in OPS, WOBA, WRC+, and they're 22nd in ISO. So, woo! Almost out of the bottom 10 in ISO. Almost. And we talked about Logan Gilbert's struggles a little bit the last 2 outings. Super unlucky stuff. One, he was in Wrigley. There was 30-mile-an-hour winds. He gave up 3 home runs. Kind of is what it is there. Texas start, much of the same. Really bad batted ball luck. Everything suggests that start should have gone a different direction. It didn't. And here we are 3 starts in, and we're, like you said, he's just been, That start against the Red Sox was amazing. Comes off an injured elbow and he dominates. And then the last two have been quite unlucky. So I think he looks good, and I think that there's a high ceiling because he's a 10K plus pitcher. Just baseline, he should be $10,000 minimum, and now we're getting him at a discount against a bad offense. So I get it, but you can't just in tournaments. You have to take a stand somewhere.
Yeah,
you can't just be well, I'm jamming all these chalky Astros and I'm jamming a chalky Logan Gilbert, because then you're playing the same lineup as
everybody. Yeah,
it's just because in baseball you can differentiate in places, but when you do that, there's not many differentiations that are gonna lead you.
Yeah, you can only afford so much,
right? Because
Altuve
is 5K and Paredes is almost 5K, and there's Yonder Diaz is a spot a catcher where you typically spend down. He's 4,300, and then you have the outfielders that are over $4,000. There is no cheap Astros piece. So I like Gilbert. I will be under 40%, which you can bank if you're playing single entry or cash. He is 60 plus percent.
We did just get a slight update. He dropped a little bit. He's 38% now, down from the 41. Maybe that keeps moving as we get closer to roster lock. Still 2 hours away. Hunter Brown is number 2. He's 25%. He's also up over $10,000 here. No one's playing Jacob Mizorowski tonight. 1%. Matchup against the Mets. We obviously know, how talented that lineup is on paper. Performance-wise, not necessarily haven't been as great of late, but we're also potentially concerned about workload with Mizorowski after being limited in that last start. Merrill Kelly is getting ownership. Another guy up over $9,000 here today. He's in that mid-tier. It's him, Kershaw, and Shota essentially clumped together. Kershaw, the cheapest of the bunch. Kelly, the most expensive, and Shota in the middle, coming in with the least ownership of that trio. Still about 15%. I put together Howard Bender's underdog video today. You can go find that over at Fantasy Alarm, YouTube, and TikTok. He liked the over 4.5 strikeouts today for Shota. That was the number. That felt pretty good. And at $8,500, I don't see how at 15%, he's just not an auto plug in our lineups today.
Yeah, I mean, my playbook write-up for Shota started out lefties against Guardians until the end of time.
Sure.
Or until they inject new life into their roster, right? They don't have the players if Jose Ramirez is not hitting 3 home runs against left-handed pitching. Since June 1st, John, I just again, they have the most at-bats against lefties. They have over 400 at-bats against lefties since June 1st, more than anyone else in baseball. They're 28th or worse in every category there is. OPS, ISO, WOBA, WRC+. 4 major categories, they're 28th or worse. They strike out 24% of the time against lefties during that span as well. And when you look at Imanaga, yes, pre-injury, there was some definitely some batted ball luck on his side. And I hand up, I am aware. He also came back, looked really good against the Cardinals, and by the way, a really good Cardinals team. And when you're factoring in the 77 pitches in his debut, he had a rehab, right? He threw 72 pitches in his final rehab start. He then threw 77 pitches in his debut. This wasn't an arm injury. This was a hamstring injury. And there's no reason to think, coming off a hamstring, a guy who went on a rehab and then threw 77 pitches in his return, there's no reason to think that jump can't be up to 90 pitches today. And at 90 pitches, Shota Imanaga is probably per dollar the best pitcher on the board, just with the matchup that he has. Because you had talked about it, Mizorowski 1% is, I think, interesting in its own right, because even in a limited workload, it has not mattered. And maybe that matters against the Mets. They've been arguably the best offense in baseball since June 1st against righties. They are also the worst against lefties. So, that's something. Hunter Brown is great, but he's in a bad ballpark. We saw one other time this year where he pitched in a bad ballpark. Didn't exactly go too great when he was in Tampa Bay. Will that happen again here? I'm not saying it will. Just saying we've seen him at least stumble in a bad ballpark. And I like Merrill Kelly, but I just like Imanaga a little bit more. So yeah, it's hard for me not to just land on this $8,500 price tag for Imanaga in like just a smash spot as the Guardians continue to not score, continue to get yelled at by their fans, hold a press conference about why they're not calling up their top prospect instead of like, hey guys, let's be excited and stack, or we'll call up our prospects. And no, it's like, actually, we're gonna hold off on a little bit longer, guys. Don't worry. We'll just keep facing lefties and keep losing. So yeah, I think there's a lot to like, but Imanaga, creme de la creme when it comes to like upside / floor at the price, because there shouldn't be much limitation anymore here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm fully on board with you. You talked Kershaw, obviously, on this quest for 3,000 tonight. Popular play against the White Sox. We obviously assume that with the win equity behind him there. Where do you go next? Believe it or not, Noah Cameron is actually getting some ownership today. Tanner Bybee is someone we continually talk about, just waiting for the Cleveland pitching staff and a guy like Bybee to sort of come around. You've been a proponent of Will Warren. You say Kikuchi is getting over 10%. Do you gravitate towards anybody in that next tier more than the others?
I don't. For the record, I think Cleveland's pitching has been better. Just throwing it out there. I think Kershaw for me is the guy. Outside of him, it's probably Kikuchi. I think Will Warren. This is probably the lowest strikeout ceiling matchup he could possibly have, because Toronto just don't do the thing that Will Warren does. And if Will Warren's missing back, I mean, the problem with someone like Will Warren in a spot where he can't get strikeouts is he's a guy who throws a lot of pitches already. And if he's throwing a lot of pitches and not getting strikeouts, I mean, he is cooked. So I don't love $7,800 Will Warren like typically I do, but not in this spot against Toronto. I'm on the opposite side of Cameron. I like Seattle. Bybee targeting the Cubs is crazy. People are crazy. Not that I think Bybee's a bad pitcher, but like just actively wanting to pitch Tanner Bybee against the Cubs is insane. It's Kikuchi for me, and I almost wrote up Nick Martinez today. Almost. Okay. Those would probably be the two. Kikuchi has just been what he has been, and we kind of had this like the back and forth on the show where you were puffing up Jurickson Profar as if he was their savior. And Jurickson Profar is fine. I think Jurickson Profar, obviously coming off a career year last year. If Ronald Acuna didn't save the day, Jurickson Profar sure as hell won't. So
you don't know that. Okay.
I am fairly confident there was a reason why the Braves press release today was led with Verdugo. Then it said Profar. Then it called somebody else or DFA'd somebody. And then all the way at the bottom print is like, hey guys, Spencer Schwellenbach has a fractured elbow.
Yeah, broken elbow. Yeah, they just threw that one.
Dude, they just threw that one in the bottom.
Right as the Marlins passed him in the standings, they just happened to mention briefly that their best starting pitcher broke his elbow. Actually injured his elbow, then went out and pitched.
Yep. And
then broke his elbow because it was probably broken before.
Yep. And he dominated, by the way.
He dominated. He's going to come back like, was it Rookie of the Year? movie back in the day when he had
with the mechanical arm.
Henry Rowan guard, right?
Oh, true. Where Henry lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he loses it. Yeah. There's no way he's pitching in September. Just sidebar there. But the Braves are free fall. Kikuchi, opposite of free fall. He has 31 strikeouts in his last 3 games. He's pitching deep into games, and he's facing a Braves who, on paper, they look good. But except when you look at their numbers, they don't.
Should have a lot of guys that hit lefties well historically.
Yes, historically. It's like, oh, right, pretty good. But then you look and they're 19th or worse in OPS, WOBA, ISO, WRC plus since June 1st against lefties. And oh, by the way, they strike out 23% of the time during that span.
No, I hear you.
And anything with strikeout, and you say there's a reason why his last name starts with a K, because this man is racking them up, John.
Sure.
Racking them up.
Sure.
And it's not going to stop in this start. So
I mean, he faced a Houston team that we just talked about how good they are against lefties. Shut them down. 9
Boston.
games.
And then Boston, lefty specialist, 12 right after that.
Ref Snyder and roll. I get it.
John,
I understand.
Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep doing that?
Because they're not good baseball players, James.
They are good at doing one thing specifically.
Yeah.
They're not. Okay.
They're not good
go pull up their OPS.
I know what the
measure up against every other player in baseball.
I know what the numbers say.
You were literally in a numbers-based business, and you're like, oh. Okay. Anyways, they aren't good versus righties, so I would possibly venture into the Nick Martinez territory.
Connor Wong in the lineup tonight. That just is an automatic out for them too. So
automatic out. I mean, absolutely automatic out. And again, the ownership on Boston is crazy.
Yeah,
right.
People love Abraham Toro. He must have pictures. He must have pictures on ownership. Right?
Dude,
like
he is.
They're blackmailing people,
dude. You see 9 Houston guys in Abraham Toro. That's what you see. It's like
who used to play for Houston. To me, that's what it is, right?
True.
Like
they think he's still there. Yeah, they think he's still there.
Yeah.
Like Boston, despite having a good couple of days and like 1.5 good couple of days, I guess
they won 4 of their last 5.
Offensively, they've been. I'm saying against righties, they've been like good-ish offensively. They had like a couple outbursts, and then the other games they've pitched well.
You know what's unfortunate for us today is that Brian Bayo went out and pitched the resume game and threw a 1-hitter. Could have used that on this slate at $6,800 or whatever he was priced at. Yeah,
instead they're going Cooper Criswell and Brennan Bernardino.
Bernardino opening, Criswell on short rest.
Yeah, he pitched on the 28th is what his last. He threw 87 pitches in that game.
Yeah,
which I love. And I love that Boston's bullpen is also.
The bullpen got saved today because
Bayo went out.
So you're going to get a full Red Sox bullpen game basically today. So
yeah, it's really good. So I don't hate Nick Martinez against chalk Boston. The numbers are okay for Martinez. They still, like, outside of ISO, when you look since basically in the last month for the Red Sox, they're 24th or worse in every offensive category, and they strike out a lot. So they are similar to what the Angels have been all year right now. They're similar to what the Angels have been because they have a good ISO and they rate out pretty good in the power department against righties. But that's probably as far down as I'd venture. And also, to Prince, stop yelling at us, please, about FanDuel Pitcher. I have the playbook. The playbook's out. You don't need to yell. You just go read the playbook. Stop yelling. You're screaming.
It's also Shota. He's on the cover.
I mean, like, just
7.8 million. Shota.
7.8 million. Sean Penny says.
I don't know.
No, you're right. No,
that's what he put.
No, I mean, you guys can both believe that Shota Imanaga is 7.8 million. I would not play
7.8 million.
I know. I'm not going to play him at 7.8 million. I'll tell you that. You won't be able to play anyone else
in your lineup, but
you are not playing anyone else. No.
All right, let's go on to actually before we do that. Quick side note for football here. Fantasy Alarm is launching Fantasy Football AI. It's a new revolutionary AI technology that Fantasy Alarm is powering using all of our projections, rankings, analyst picks, content, ownership projections, you name it. It's all going into an AI chatbot, which is going to be available to you guys right now, where you can become a beta tester and get early access for free. All you got to do is scan that QR code right there or go to fantasyfootball.ai and sign up. When you do sign up, you get a 25% coupon off anything in the Fantasy Alarm store. So if you guys are getting ready for your fantasy football season and you want to check out the latest innovation that Fantasy Alarm is bringing to you guys, again, this is not to replace us as analysts. It is a tool to use to help you guys with your fantasy football and DFS contests. Scan the QR code or go to fantasyfootball.ai, sign up. The first 1,000 members become part of the Founders Club and get that early access and become beta testers and that promo code. So check it out, fantasyfootball.ai, scan that QR code or go to the website and sign up today. All right, let's go on over to the catcher position. When looking at ownership for today, as we talked about, it's all Houston. Last night, if you were paying attention to the live show, we saw the Houston lineup come out. We said, ooh, Victor Caratini's hitting ahead of Yanir Diaz. Make sure you make that swap. And Diaz went and hit Caratini went and hit a grand slam. So
definitely not Diaz. Definitely not Diaz.
Definitely not Diaz. Hopefully you paid attention to that. Because today, once again, at least of now, Diaz is your highest rostered catcher. Almost 20%, more than double the next guy. He's also more expensive than Victor Caratini. It is a lefty on the mound this time, though, not a righty. But, James, if the lineup comes out and once again, Yanir Diaz is below Caratini, would you make that swap, or do you like Diaz more versus lefty here?
It's a small sample, but Caratini has almost a 1,200 OPS against lefties.
Yeah.
So I would just make the swap, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Diaz isn't a slouch, but he's also kind of been he's like a positive baseball player against lefties this year, but he has not been as good as Victor Caratini.
Yeah. After that, it's Will Smith, $4,800.
Love Will Smith.
Gets is this an opener run that they're doing?
Opener and then Sean Burke coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, I am really interested in the Dodgers today. I think that's been one of my favorite spots to go. Isert, who is going to pitch one inning, has barely gone past an inning. And especially if he gives up any damage in the first, he's not pitching very deep into this game. Sean Burke has a serious problem against both splits, but a really bad issue with righties. So love Will Smith against righties. 219 expected ISO, 396 WOBA this year against right-handed pitching. So I really like Smith. I would play Dumper, by the way. He has I wrote it in the playbook. He has, and this is it's fine, John. 441 ISO against lefties. That's okay. It's not bad. 441 ISO against somebody. That's.
We usually say anything over 200 is good. So
400 is not bad.
When you're doubling that, it feels okay.
It's not bad. So I guess if you're inclined to play some Cal Raleigh, you could do so. But yeah, Smith. I like Contreras. Tidwell coming in after Brazoban has been a disaster at the major league level against right-handed hitters and not great against lefties either. So I'd play Contreras in a Brewer stack as well. Okay. So I like all those. I like all those guys outside of the obvious Astros. Please.
Yeah, it's a good spot for Cincinnati. Tyler Stevenson is the other guy next to Smith in terms of ownership. He's hitting 6th. I tell you all the time, I understand that the numbers for Brendan Bernardino look okay on service level, but I never turn on a game where that guy is pitching and he hasn't loaded the bases and given up runs. I get it. His what's his ERA right now? Is it still
4? Under? No, it's 4. He gave up 4 earned against Toronto.
Yeah, for the longest time, I look at him like, how is this guy's ERA 2? No, he's a terrible pitcher. So going Stevenson, going the Reds today, I'm good with. Warren says he likes Jonah Heim here. Also hitting 6 gets Sugano. We talk about Sugano always live for the homer.
Oh, Love the Rangers today. It's a very dangerous place.
Always
to be,
live to give up homers for Sugano there. Is this a Mitch Garver spot?
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah, could be. He's been pretty good lately. Been pretty good.
And then Darno. You theorized it could have been a Darno game.
Yeah, Huppy struck out like 8 times yesterday, so I was like, yeah, he's cooked. He's not playing. Yeah. Usually that happens. And then James McCann. Looking at some Landon Roop stuff today. Landon Roop's been bad against righties. James McCann, he's vying for an all-star spot, John. 2,700. Yeah. Look at this guy. You think they're gonna not put in a player in the All-Star game averaging 13.7 DraftKings points per game? It's not how that works.
No, I agree. All right, first base. Up at the top again, as we've discussed. Everything's going to be Houston or Abraham Toro.
It's just there's 3 things you can bank on in this life, John: death, taxes, and if Shohei and Abraham Toro are on a slate, they'll be 1 and 2 with whoever else is in course.
Yeah,
just full stack.
I agree.
Those 2 players plus the team getting stacked.
And you're getting 3 pay levels too, right? You're getting the $6,000 player in Ohtani. You're getting the $4,000 player in Walker and the $2,800 player in Abraham Toro. So like pick your pay tier and just like plug in there from an ownership perspective. They're all basically around 20%, give or take a percentage or two. And then it drops down. You like Josh Smith, he's 10%. I think again, Reds tonight, they're 10%. Matt Olson against the lefty and Kikuchi. I know you've talked about how dominant Kikuchi's been against lefties. He's even getting some ownership, which I think it's kind of interesting there. Not the play, but more commenting that it's like, do they not see how good he's been against lefties? I don't fully get that ownership there. I like Shane Yuel as a dart throw at $4,000 against Fuentes in a small sample size is like a 700 slug allowed to lefties. So, there's only a couple of lefties in that lineup for the Angels, and he's one of them.
Yeah, we'll run down the way you just said. I love Ohtani. I also like Freddie Freeman quite a bit with the off day, homered the other day, or he didn't have the off day. He didn't play good yesterday, but he had the big day on Sunday. I really like the Dodgers, as I've highlighted. Oh, no interest in Matt Olson. If he homers, he homers. Dude, Kikuchi has a 30% strikeout rate against lefties. 0.35 ISO allowed. 345 BABIP suggests there's actually a little bit. He's actually been a little like unlucky to lefties too. And his WOBA to lefties is a 256. So how dominant can he actually be if there's a little more batted ball luck on his side? And he's already been great against them. So no thanks on the Olsen play. You know, people who are playing him, good luck. You could play Christian Walker. He's been a corpse against lefties. All home runs he's hit have come against righties, but he's going to garner a bunch of ownership. I love Josh Smith. I love the Rangers. Dude, there's only 5 pitchers in baseball that have allowed more home runs than Tomoyuki Sugano this year. And 11 home runs that he's allowed have come against lefties. They're over 2 home runs per 9 innings. It's just like and this isn't to say he's been good against righties because he hasn't.
Yeah.
But I think the Rangers are the team that I have been building with the most in terms of stacking, because there's a certain outfielder hitting in the middle of their lineup that's really cheap from the left side. There's first base, shortstop players that you can stack with that are from the left side. Jonah Heim, as Warren alluded to, but I think Josh Smith looks amazing atop this order. Dude, and we were talking about this earlier in the year, how Sugano was getting all these ground balls. It's completely evened out to the point where he's getting allowing more fly ball outs now to lefties than he is ground balls. So he's just doing nothing correct. He doesn't miss bats. He allows fly balls. He allows home runs. So Josh Smith and the Rangers easily one of my favorite stacks. I call them the Power Rangers today in the playbook because
they have Burger back. They sent down Josh Young though.
I mean, he has been bad. So, and good time for Jake Berger to come back. Like,
Sure.
He's in a power spot. And Warren just asked about Jake Berger. Yeah, you could play. I think every Ranger in the lineup tonight is truly in play.
Yep, I would agree with you. Baseball show, but DeAndre Ayton signing with the Lakers. So
yeah, that has been the speculation all day.
yeah,
that he's
just
gonna sign
officially
with the
became
Lakers.
a free agent as the 5 o'clock hour hit. So Crispy Hayes reporting Lakers. So
Crispy Hayes, who I saw a tweet, and he was in Damian Lillard's wedding. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, reportedly in Damian Lillard's wedding.
Okay.
And there's also tweets circulating that he may or may not be related, or someone in his family is related to Giannis's wife.
Interesting.
So if there's any reports from Crispy Haynes about Giannis, we need to follow.
Take into consideration.
We are just. That's the report because that's straight from the.
He's reporting Ayton expected to sign with the Lakers. So
okay,
there's that. All right, any other first baseman for you here? I got something in my eye that's bothering the hell out of me right
now. Spencer Steer for sure. $3,600. Because the Criswell stuff, Criswell has not been able to get a righty out since
Warren in here, the cousin of Giannis.
So I was right. So there's like some family connection. And I think he's also was in Damian Lillard's wedding. So like, whatever.
It's good.
I like Steer 36. You can definitely play Jake Berger. That's probably it. Like Ezekiel Duran exists, but he's kind of been subpar. But sure. I when you don't strike out, I mean, why not? And Toro's here, obviously. Toro's 2,800. You could be a chalk donkey and just play it. The same lineup everyone's playing. Just play Houston and Boston and Logan Gilbert, and that's your lineup today.
Right. Well, if you go to second base, Jose Altuve is up there over 20%. then Matt McClain, because again, going against his Boston makeshift bullpen game today, he's $4,400. Jazz is up here for expensive play. Marcus Semien is getting a little bit of love, as you talked about Texas versus Baltimore today. And then Marcelo Mayer, because he is very cheap, under $3,000 today.
Yeah, I mean, Altuve's numbers do not look good for the record. They do not look good against lefties this year. They don't really look good against anybody. And he's like really slumping. But we know he's going to hit in the middle of the lineup. And Austin Gomber is who he is. So, you can play Jose Altuve pretty comfortably. That's fine. I think Jazz definitely looks good because he's been really good. Although now there's, reports coming out that he's not happy playing third, which don't blame him. He's not really good there. And he's been a top 10 defensive second baseman this year. But hey, let's play him at third. Love playing him at third when he's not good there. So you can play Jazz. I think Bryce Terang looks pretty good because I think the Brewers are a very interesting stack. I like McClain. He's had an 800 OPS over the last month against righties, or just about 800 OPS. Dubois, we can talk about him at short too.
Yeah.
I think Semien is on one of those like mini heaters that he goes on a couple times a year where he just like really inflates statistics. And again,
he keeps the baseline numbers looking okay.
Keeps the numbers looking like serviceable because like 672 OPS is not good, but like now he's hitting in the middle of the order and he's scoring a boatload of runs and he's driving in a boatload of runs. Like he's starting, like the numbers are starting to trend upwards, but he's hitting third against a guy who just struggles against both splits. Hard not to just like settle into some of Marcus Semien here. Polanco's been better against lefties if we get him in the lineup. We don't have we don't have that lineup yet, which it's a late game, so not surprising. But if Polanco's in the lineup, his numbers against lefties look better than they were earlier in the year.
Then value range, as we mentioned, Marcelo Myers down here getting some ownership. Would you play anybody else? There's like Christian Moore maybe interest you? Is just for a power potential?
Yeah, if you want to play people against Didier, you can. He's obviously not been great.
All right. Third base, then again, Paredes is your chalk. Where do you like to go outside of that, though?
Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in chat. I'm sorry that I yell sometimes and I yell at the Prince, but it's all love. The Prince knows he knows it's all love. But just feel free to leave your comments in the chat.
Ronnie gets angry at people. He mutes you. Like it's just.
I mute. Oh no. Did I mute Warren? What did I do? I put him in timeout.
Timeout. Yeah, timeout.
What's more? That's way more humiliating. I'm sorry, Warren. I like putting someone in timeout like he's a child. Like I'm so sorry. Yeah. Eugenio Suarez, I think, is a little bit interesting here. I don't think he's better than Paredes. I don't think that goes without saying. Like we don't need to spend much time on Isaac Paredes. Like he's 200 plus ISO, a lot of power, all that good stuff. But Eugenio Suarez is pretty interesting with how much power he has. And Landon Raup has been specifically struggling against righties. So I think that's a fine pivot. I love the Dodgers, as I keep saying. I love Max Muncy. Lots of power there. You can play Austin Riley if you want. 4,100 is pretty criminal. That price
he's the only other one getting double-digit ownership. It's Paredes and Toro, and then Riley at 11%. Everybody else is under that.
I mean, dude, like coming off a 3-hit game hasn't really been a great season. Obviously, I mean, like a few years ago, he was like, you're like, holy cow, this guy is.
If you remember, he got to a really slow start last year, and then had a huge second half. So,
but also was hurt and like missed time. But he had 37 home runs or whatever it was, 2023.
Yeah.
And at 40 and 22? Like, dude, he's been anything but that player for 2 straight years now. And they gave him a boatload of money. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying he's been bad. He's just been
I'm just saying, like, maybe he's just now a slow starter. Who knows?
Slow starter, yeah. But 4,100 either way is like pretty criminal. So if you're not playing Kikuchi, that would be something I would test out. I don't love the value tier. Gavin Lux is a guy that I would play at this position. Again, they're going Criswell as the long man or as the whatever he can give them, I guess, considering he pitched 3 days ago and threw almost 90 pitches. 4 days ago now, I guess, 28th. 3 days rest.
4 days rest is what he's
on. So Gavin Lux has an 800 OPS this year against righties. That would probably be the value I go to. He's not going to face Bernardino, my assumption. And if he does, that's a good thing because that means they've gotten to the 7th part of the order. So
Astros lineup is out. No Carantini.
So that's an upset. They're playing Shea Whitcomb.
Yeah.
Who has like really good numbers at the minor league level. And he's $2,500. He has just not been good. Even like dude, he hit 19 home runs at AAA this year. But he can't, and he did this last year too. He gets called up and he was like Brett Beatty, wasn't it? Brett Beatty that just like it looks like freaking Juan Soto at the minor league level and then gets called up and Brett Beatty's been better this year, but
I mean they're playing him in cores versus lefty. So if there was ever a chance to give him a benefit of the doubt, I guess at this price today would be the day, right? When you're I mean $2,500 and again they're screwing us here. It says second and short, but he's second and third. Yeah. Not that we'd play him at short anyways, but now you're talking about second base where second base is fine, but now you can just plug a $2,500 guy in there.
In course.
Yeah,
we will report back if and when we get the ownership update on the show. Once that is factored in, because I do think you have to give Shea Whitcomb. I mean, that just provides so much value.
Yeah.
So much value in Coors Field.
Agreed. Shortstop, Ellie De La Cruz at $5,900 is up at the top here. Believe it or not, Trevor Story is actually your highest projected rostered shortstop for today. against Martinez at 37, but we kind of already hit on it. Seager, $3,800.
That's the one I don't get. It's just like what not, and this is not, I'm not trying to slight Trevor Story here. What in the world would people want to play Story today over Seager? Give me one reason.
I have no reason. Listen, Seager's actually finally hitting.
Dude, he's raking. And so is Story.
Sure.
These matchups are not the same, though.
No.
Like, Nick Martinez, obviously,
he's not going to go.
Yeah, he's obviously not going to go out and throw another no-hitter. But, flirt, even, attempt one. But, dude, Corey Seager is a 2-time World Series MVP who goes on, these stretches where you're like, he did what the last month? He hit 14 home runs in a month? It's like, yeah, he's that dude. $100 difference, same eligibility. I would bet I would play Corey Seager in 149 out of 150 lineups if those are my only two options. And I'd only just on the off chance Corey Seager's and gets hurt, I'd have that one lineup on Trevor Story, just to survive. But yeah, I think I think this is one of the worst shortstop positions of the year. Even though it has the big names.
Yeah. I like Nato versus Fuentes if you're spending up, but and obviously Ellie I think is in a really elite spot today as well.
Yeah, but that's four guys. Yeah. That's four guys at a position we usually say there's four options at $5K alone.
The Seager price is just, I get it. He had
criminal.
Been struggling for all season, but he's not now, and the price isn't going up. It's only been going down.
With a pitcher with a specific issue against his split is what Sugano has, right? Lefty power, over 2 home runs per 9 innings, 11 bombs this year to lefty, 17 total. I mean, that is literally, I wonder if Corey Seager is the top bet home run play of the day, outside of Ohtani or Judge, right? Because naturally those two players get bet a lot for home runs, but this feels like if I were to ever bet a Corey Seager a home run, it would be today.
I agree. Anything else at short?
Oh no, Corey Seager's 38. That's I feel like that's having a $2,400 shortstop today.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously the outfield is again just all of your Houston plays. Cam Smith is 27, Jake Myers is over 20%, and then it's Red Sox. Duran, Anthony, Wilyer, Rafaela are all up over 10%. We mentioned Spencer Steer. Mike Trout's the only one we haven't really discussed. Cooper Hummel now up to 11%. Waiting on the Whitcomb update there. But thoughts on your top ownership group there?
Top ownership group. Astros speak for themselves. Cam Smith should be. His numbers against lefties are ridiculous this year. Myers has solid numbers against lefties. Solid baseball player. If you want to play Red Sox, you can play Red Sox. I'm more on the Nick Martinez side of things. Trout, I think the Angels are always a dangerous stack to play or to target against because they are very boomer bust. That's kind of what the Red Sox have been lately, just very boomer bust, with how Roman Anthony swung and Wilyer has swung the bat and Rafael, they can hit home runs, but they also still don't rate out all too good.
Yeah.
In terms of the pricing in the outfield, obviously you could play Judge, obviously you could play Ohtani, obviously you could play Acuna, you could play any of those guys. If I had to play one, it'd be Ohtani of the top tier. And then when you dip below, I love Christian Yelich today. Christian Yelich has been quite incredible for a couple weeks now. Ton of runs, just driving in so many runs, obviously inflated by one behemoth of a game, but he has been really good. I really like the spot. I really like Julio Rodriguez. I think a 3-man stack of Cal Raleigh, J-Rod, and Randy Arozarena, who we'll get to, and makes a lot of sense. Or if you want to play Garver, you could do that too. So yeah, that would probably be my 5K exposure. Like if I had to break it down, Ohtani, Yelich, and J-Rod would probably be my 3 favorite above 5K.
If you're going down into the mid-range, again, we kind of highlighted there's a lot of Boston plays in here. But again, Cincinnati, Austin Hayes hitting 4th today, I think is a really good spot. You mentioned Yelich. I imagine you like Frelick, that same breath there today as well. Yep. Thoughts on sort of the rest of this 4K team?
Yeah, I like Teoscar, 45, 200 expected ISO against righties this year. I know it says Iser starting. He is not the long man. Sean Burke is going to be the long man for the White Sox. So I like Teoscar quite a bit. We talked Myers. I like your Hayes shout. Frelick is good. Taylor Ward is always a home run threat. I like Andy Pages a little bit. You know, we joked about, well, I did, and you were like, I think Andy Pages is real. And I was like, no, he's not. And I'm just like here to say, I guess he's real. He's been awesome against righties as well. So I like Pajes 42. Cam Smith we talked about. Friedel leading off. I like quite a bit. I love Randy Arozarena at 4K. I mean, dude, he has always been a really streaky player, but 4 straight multi-hit games. He has like 10 multi-hit games over, since like the end of June. And that was kind of why Seattle went and got, like, they needed offense. So they got Arozarena. He's been great lately. So I really like the spot against Noah Cameron. We've kind of talked about this, but like Noah Cameron's stats are so misleading. He does not look great, and I'd much rather play Seattle in a large field tournament than Noah Cameron.
Sure. Value here for you today? Anybody sticks out more than the other for you?
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Hummel at 36 and Adolis at 36 are probably the first 2 that like really, get me going. I mean, Adolis has had a disappointing year. Undoubtedly, he has 7 RBIs over his last 2 games. And also when you look at some of the stuff, it's been a little bit unlucky. He has a 177 ISO against righties, which is actually pretty good. But 221 expected ISO is really good. 279 or 297 WOBA is pretty bad. 334 expected WOBA against righties. Like that, all of the expected numbers are really good. And maybe we're starting to see that shine through a little bit over the last couple of days. And now he gets another guy who just grooves slow pitches over the middle of the plate and like splitters that don't split. So I like Adolis. You can play Hummel. You can play Steer. If you want to play Profar, you can.
Raphael is hitting 6th.
Yeah, Sedon is moving his way up the lineup. Just super talented dude who is like the best defender in the game now, like transforming into a great player. Anthony, so I would say the Rangers are my so Boston is the highest owned cheap stack of the day. And I think Texas is a better cheap stack because they're just in an infinitely better spot. And I think that lineup is clicking and is really cheap. So like, I think they're my favorite like alt stack because you could pair them with Houston pretty easily. If you wanted to run a 4-4-4, or if you run a 5 Houston, 3 Texas, or reverse, be a little contrarian, run 5 Texas and 3 Houston. But if you like, I would say it's hard for me to rank Texas ahead of Houston. I think the better alt stack to Houston is the Dodgers because they're more comparable in price. Where like you're still probably pairing the Dodgers with like Texas or Boston or like a cheap stack like that. So I'll say the Rangers are my favorite like secondary stack. And you can use 5. Like I have a couple lineups with them with 5 Rangers in them. So we haven't even gotten to my favorite Ranger value of the day.
Who's your favorite Ranger value of the day?
$2,200 Alejandro Ozuna, who has not had a good year, and I am well aware of that. But
so we kind of dogged him quite a few times this year.
John, sometimes things are not as they seem, and that's what the beauty of data and being nerdy with data is, right?
Sure.
Like sometimes you look at a player and you're like, damn, kind of been disappointing. And then you look at some of the stats, and first off, he homered for the first time yesterday. He gets a guy who gives up a lot of power to lefties, 220 ISO, 241 expected ISO. We've talked about this extensively. Sugano stinks against lefties. Ozuna has a expected ISO of 180. That's 100 points higher than his actual ISO, and an expected WOBA of 372. That's 130 points higher than his expected WOBA. He has a 211 BABIP. Extremely bad batted ball luck. He is hitting 5th tonight in this lineup that against a guy who can't get lefties out. I absolutely love this play. He lets you get to any person on the board that you want, whether it be a pitcher, whether it be bat. So I have played a ton of Alejandro Ozuna in stacks. I've played a ton of them as one-off. It's a great spot. There's a lot to like under the hood about Ozuna and his numbers. So he's been he's a like staple for me today, which I know is crazy to say, but he's free, and there's a lot that you could say that he's been very unfortunate on the batted ball side of things.
All right. Well, it is that time to build a lineup then. Are we just clicking this button? He said he's your favorite Ranger, so.
Yeah, I also just said he's a core play of mine.
There you go. Do we do the Whitcomb play? We don't yet have the ownership update, but we do have the update in terms of projections, and he is considered the best value on the board today. So take that into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a solid option.
I mean, if you do that and pair in with the pitching we want to go to today, which is Shota and
Brown.
I mean, that's infinite dollars, 4,400 for the rest of your lineup.
Yeah, and you're playing Cam Smith.
Playing Seager at 38.
And you're playing Seager. And honestly, like in this iteration where like you can afford a one-off, like you're playing like Ohtani at first.
I was gonna say you're probably just playing Ohtani, right?
Yeah.
That's still $4K a player.
And then you're calling, and then you're just like, you can literally do endless amount of things. You can move, and if you wanted to, you can move Whitcomb to third. Like if you were going to play a Seager, or you could play Paredes there. There's a ton of different combinations you can get to, but
you can punt catcher, get Paredes pretty easily, and then get another 4K outfielder. So so we'll leave you with this, and we'll put the full lineup in the Discord like we usually do. Shota, Brown, Ohtani, Whitcomb, Seager, Osuna, and Smith to get you guys ready for tonight's DraftKings main slate. We do appreciate you all. Do we love the Brewers pitchers still? Says Anthony. Anthony, my worry is just the pitch count. The dude is wildly talented. He had 28 fantasy points and 74 pitches in his last start. It's just I'd rather not pay 10-5 for a guy that may only throw 80 pitches. So that's really a decision on you. He's been elite. If they let him go in 6 innings, he might have 12 strikeouts. Who knows? It is also the Mets. Tougher lineup, but Warren wants to know, do you do a Kelly or Kershaw?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough because I would probably say the second one because I like Kershaw more than I like Merrill Kelly.
Okay.
But it's a really good, like, I like both sides of that argument.
Make sure you take advantage of our USA 25 promo going on right now for the 4th of July, fantasyalarm.com/USA. That's 25% off all products in the store, including our annual subscription package, which knocks that down to basically $17.99 a month for the year. We charge $39.97 per usual. It's $29.99 if you go monthly with this discount, and knocks it down to $17.99 a month for the year. So if you plan on joining Fantasy Alarm for the fantasy football season, the basketball season, the baseball season, buy us now. use USA25 at checkout. Get the annual subscription package. It includes all draft guides, all cheat sheets, all betting content, all projections, all tools, all lineup generators, DFS, and seasonal content. It's the best package we offer, and we're giving it to you for about $18 a month for the year. So check that out. FantasyAlarm.com/USA. Promo code USA25 at checkout. Grandy and I will be back tonight with the preview show. Good luck. We'll catch you later.